Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alicia. I post new videos on Thursdays, every Thursday, or I try to get one in every Thursday, on different DIY projects, including Dollar Tree items. So this week, my best friend Kristen and I made skeletons in a cage. And so last year we worked together and we made porch signs, and they were like a coffin. Yeah, they were like a coffin shape, but I did not record that. So here it is. I don't know which side. Here it is showing you what we did. So this year we did the skeleton in the cage. And so she is newer to certain kinds of crafting. So I was guiding her along on how to prep certain things for paint. And so if you're new, like you're a newbie to crafting, this will be informational for you. And if you're not new to crafting, we do a little bit different than just a skeleton in a cage. So you're gonna wanna stick around and see what we came up with. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I picked up these baskets from the Dollar Tree. They are round plastic storage baskets with handles. The top is 13.5 inches by diameter. They do have bigger ones, so I'm gonna call these the medium ones. So the first thing you're gonna do is peel that sticker off. I should have sanded it and I didn't, and I made my friend Kristen sand it. Then I'm gonna take the forged hammer, paint and primer in one, it's Rust-Oleum. It is the burnished amber, and I'm gonna spray the baskets both on the inside and the outside, just one coat. You're sanding. All right, that's good. Make sure you got the outside. Don't drop the soap.
Oh, it's dropped, baby. It's dropped.
All right, get all that shininess off. Oh, stupid labels. This is Kristen not knowing what she's doing, and I'm giving her instruction. She has to wipe that with 91% alcohol to get all the sanding dust off.
I'm paying hourly for this.
I mean, she actually doesn't have to, but it's probably better that she does. Before she spray paints matte black. All right, so proper spray paint technique is don't stay in one place too long. Some people like to do short bursts. Sometimes you just want to like go back and forth. Just don't stay in one area too long or it will pool. It's not a big deal if it runs down in this because it is going to be an outside project. It's a cage. Maybe there's some like dirt or something running down the cage, whatever. Just go with it. So, yep, she's doing really good. She's going to do both baskets inside and out. All right, so once the baskets are dry, which they were like a hair tacky, but we were anxious, it was getting late, so we started moving on. So I took brown acrylic paint and copper acrylic paint, and I poured it, just on a surface so that we could dip in and go around these baskets. Now, keep in mind, we have different colors. I went with the burnished amber for my basket color, but Kristen went for matte black. So we're both using the brown to make it kind of dirty and distressed, and we're also using copper to give some of it like a rusted look because this is outside and it's steel and it's rusted and it's old. So I'm just going to put some music on or some sounds on so that you can watch the process. It takes a little bit to go through this, and I'm only going to show you like the one basket. I'm not going to show you doing the whole inside and both baskets. So I'm not going to skip through this process. I want you to see. If you want to skip through the process, you obviously can fast forward. All right, now that these are dried and painted, I am going to begin placing the skeleton. So I picked up the skeleton at Lowe's. It was $15, a little bit more than I wanted to spend, but it was the right size. It was actually a hair too big. It's a 3-foot skeleton. And so now I want my skeleton's feet to be hanging out, and maybe his hands too. He's not all that posable, so we got to work with it. So down at the bottom, I'm taking these jewelry clippers, and I am just clipping out a little bit of a space so that I can pull his leg through. So like just making a hole in the basket for him, and it's a permanent removal. And so I didn't need to cut a lot. And it was just like basically like a plus sign. So just one plus that opened it up. And then I did that obviously for the other side. And I got that all, just make sure that there's no sharp edges. And I pulled his legs through and they were dangling just the way I wanted them. So now I'm going to move on to the arm part, where I'm just like measuring out where I want his arms to stick out. And I'm going to do the same, only I'm not going to cut as much. I'm not going to cut a whole T section out. I'm only going to cut like just a little metal section in between the two squares. So I'm just going to make 2 squares into one by cutting the center section, if that makes any sense. It's kind of hard to explain. I should probably take a picture and just show you. But if you can see really well in this video, because so as I'm editing this video, I can see that I'm recording and it blocks some of the bottom screen. So I don't know how well you're seeing some of this stuff, but I think you're getting a pretty good idea of where I'm cutting and how much room I'm leaving for the hand to come in. So I've got that out. I'm going to discard those plastic pieces and pull his arms through. And now this is when we discover that, you know, his arms really aren't a whole, they're not real posable, either his hands. So I think I'm going to have him pulling up and then clenching. So I take the top basket, and he's kind of tall, so his head's hitting the very top of the basket. So I'm going to have to, like he's leaning forward, I feel like he's leaning too forward. So I mess around with this for a little while before I finally decide that I'm going to go ahead and zip tie his hands to the basket. And then I'm going to try and maneuver and situate him afterwards. So I'm cutting the string off the top of his head. And now I am, let's see, what am I doing this time? Oh, I skip. I skip trying to attach that because I remember I got to do the chain. So I am taking my drill. I'm going to take my drill. I'm marking out where I want to drill. And I'm going to drill 2 tiny little holes on the top. Well, not teeny tiny, but wide enough to fit a zip tie through. Zip ties are going to be your friend in this project because they're plastic, so they're going to hold up in the weather. You can get a whole pack at Dollar Tree for $1.25, and they're pretty strong. And you can stop the loop. You can make it as tight or as loose as you want. So I go ahead and drill those holes, and then the fun part is feeding these things up through the right way. So if you put them the wrong way, you won't hear the zip noise, and so it won't lock in place. So I don't know, you know, I'm assuming that you're not familiar with using zip ties, so that's why I'm explaining it to you this way. So once I get the zip ties in, then I'm going to attach my chain. So you have to be careful with these chains that I picked up from the Dollar Tree because they do separate. Some of the links separate, not all of them, but some of them separate. So you can just put it through, just make sure that you're pulling, you've got the tension going. So when you're hanging up, you're going to have the tension, and it's not going to slip through the zip tie like the C part. It's not going to zip through or slip through and come off. So I just want you to be aware of that. So, but it makes it good if you want to remove some links that you can to make the chain shorter if you want, depending on where you're going to hang it. All right, so I'm going to go back to messing with this and trying to set up his hands and get him situated inside. And so I decide that I'm going to zip tie. So in these baskets, in other videos, I've seen people cut the bottom of the basket. I decided to leave it because our skeletons were too tall. So if we would have cut it, it just would not have worked. And I think they would have been too small for the bigger basket. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to make it work like this. And so I go and I zip tie. There's holes in the rim of the basket, so I match the holes up, and then I zip tie just the one side so that I can flip it over, and I have it so it's kind of like sturdy, basically, like it's attached, but it's not gonna go anywhere, if that makes any sense. All right, so after fiddle farting around with this for a while, I decided, Kristen came up with the idea of doing a noose, but neither one of us know how to tie a real noose tie, so I just tie this rope around his neck and pull him back, and I'm just gonna kind of pull him so that he's not completely leaning forward, but he can't go too far back either. And so it kind of situates him a little bit more in the center of the basket. And then once I get that tied up, then I'm going to work on zip tying the hands up. Once I get him situated inside, then I'm going to go ahead and zip tie the second set of holes. Now he's nice and secure in here. So this is, this is pretty much like a permanent fix, but if you want to take this apart, all you got to do is cut the zip ties and store it any way you want for next year. So now that's nice and sturdy. I only use 2 zip ties. You don't need any more. I think I did go and zip tie the back one more time where you're not going to see it, so just to make sure that it was not coming apart. But those zip ties are pretty strong, and so I don't think it's going anywhere. All right, so now it's time to position the hands and figure out where I want them, and then I'm going to go ahead and zip tie them to the basket so that they don't move. The hand that I'm working on now, I zip tied at the wrist, and then the hand on the other side, I zip tied by the finger. Now that I got the hands nice and secure, I'm going to pull that rope, that sort of noose, if you will, and I'm just going to wrap it around the back a little bit, make sure it's nice and secure, that he's not going to go forward. Like I said, he's really tall in there, and I really couldn't pull him back a whole lot, but pulled him up so that he's upright a little bit and not leaning his forehead on the cage. But you could leave it where he's leaning his forehead on the cage, if that's what the look that you're going for. This is a matter of the look that you're going for. I'm just giving you the basics. So Kristen came up with the idea of putting cobwebs around the cage, making it look even older and more aged, and put some spiders on there. So I thought that was a great idea. I bought the white spider web. She bought the black spider web, and it comes with these little spider rings. They're actually rings that they stick inside there, and they're kind of a pain to get out. So I don't want to use the whole thing, and if you're familiar with working with this stuff at all, you know that this bag goes a long way, and it stretches forever and a day. So I wind up cutting pieces off and just working with pieces to wrap it around the cage, because I didn't want to, I wanted most of it to be intact, and I didn't want to just, take this big, huge pile of spider web and drape it over. So I wound up, we decided that hanging the baskets it was going to work better to work on these projects. So I do have hooks in my dining room that go between my dining room and my entryway, and so they worked perfect for hanging these baskets, and it was perfect height for me to sit here and maneuver and get my spider web all situated around pretty much the whole basket except for the front. And so I grabbed my scissors and I cut the pieces off. And so this is just a matter of arranging the spider webs the way you want. I went up the chains, I did across the top, I did across the back and the sides. So again, this is a matter of look. You don't have to do this. It's it's obviously it's an option, but it was only $1.25. So if you hated it, you could just take it off, or you could just put a little. All right, so I think I am going to cut the rest of this out. Like, you don't need to watch the process because it's going to be individual for everybody. They're going to work with this and they're going to pull it to a different way that they want. And so I pulled this and kind of hooked this around things too, like the chain and the basket itself. I didn't hot glue any of it. I think Kristen hot glued some of hers. So that's another thing, attaching it. Just make sure you have some hot glue around, because you may need that to attach it to certain places. All right, never mind. Instead of cutting this out, I'm just going to let you decide whether or not you want to watch the process or fast forward. So I'll just put some music on again. right, now I got that the way I wanted with the spider webs, and I picked up this 2-pack of brown spiders from the Dollar Tree. We got quite a few things from Dollar Tree. So other than the skeleton, everything else is like pretty much Dollar Tree. So I am going to do what? Guess what? Take a guess. Yes, I'm going to zip tie this spider to the cage. And actually, I put this one on the right side, and I put his feet in like that little lip, so it held there really nicely. And I just used the one zip tie to go around the leg, and then I took the other spider and I put him more to like the left in the top, situated him like even higher. So obviously you can put as many spiders as you want on there. You can put whatever size spiders you want. These are the brown sort of fuzzy ones, and that's what I liked. I later painted the eyes black, so because the whole spider is, completely brown. And Kristen actually wound up putting some red on her spider. She painted red, and we didn't record her doing that, but you will see pictures of that in the end. So all right, so now, being who I am and being extra, I decide I want to put some light in there. So I take a solar mason jar, or a solar light, sorry, not a mason jar, because I do solar mason jars, a solar light, see right there, and I drill a hole in the top, and then that is big enough to just kind of poke the light through. And so I'm going to just glue this on top and then camouflage it a little bit with like a spider. And that's really going to be it. Like after that, like I had glued on a few more spiders, black ones, the black spider rings. I put them on there, I attached, and then I put some other orange spiders on there, and I didn't like the orange color, so I painted them black, and like it actually turned them kind of like a brownish, so I thought that was really cool, and I left it like that. So that's it for this project, guys. So here is Kristen's. Look how awesome it is. She's got the black spiders, she's got the black spider webs, there's the chain going up and down. Absolutely love the way this came out. She loves the way it came out, and it was so inexpensive. So something like this is going to go for like $70-$80 in the store, and you can make this as simple or as complex as you want. So if you like this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment. I love to hear your feedback. All those things help my channel to grow, and I will see you all next time. Bye.